Hello, I am Johnny from Green Herb Gaming. In this video, I will be showing you the video games that I played as a kid. So long before the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, long before Nintendo Switch, Wii U, Wii, GameCube, Nintendo 64, many years ago, I was giving my very first video game system. And that video game system was called the TV Boy. And here it is. This is the TV Boy. Technically, it's the TV Boy 2, TV Boy 2 system. This is it in its entirety. It would actually remind you of the Wii U a little bit, wouldn't it? Without the screen, of course. So here is your D-pad, directional pad, up, down, left, right. This is, sorry, it's a bit dark here. This is your select button. The red button is the start button, and the button at the end is the reset button. This is your like action button. So this performs most of the actions in the game. The TV Boy system comes with over 100 built-in games. Over 100 built-in games. And this was the very first video game system I ever got, that I ever interacted with. This is where me, Johnny from Green Herb Gaming, first interacted with video games. And I want to talk you through the process of how you turned on your video game system back then and how it was all done. Well, it was a little bit complicated, but not too complicated. Okay, I want to go behind the TV here and just show you. Okay, so the system / controller is connected with this little cable here, and the other end of the cable goes to the back of the TV. In here, these cables. That's long before AV, SCART, or HDMI cables. We had these little cables here, fitted into the very back of your TV, and you had to manually. I'm not going to do it now. You had to manually tune in your game. I won't show you the actual tune-in process, but I will nonetheless kind of give you an idea of what you have to do. So you have to go into menu, you have to go into install and retune, and you would have to like manually tune in your TV. So it's a bit like when you have a radio, like a car radio or any radio, you have to tune in the radio channels. Well, it was the same on TV. But we're good to go here. We're good to go here. So this is the very first video game system that I have ever interacted with. As I said, before PlayStation 4, before Fortnite took over the world, before online gaming, before HD graphics, before ultra realism. These are the type of video games that I played as a kid. Okay, I'm not getting the full size of the TV here, but that's okay. And let's do it. So, as you can see, it starts with number 000. They have literally 100 games. So let's jump right to the 100th game. And this is it. I have no idea what it is, but this is it. Okay, it looks like some sort of Pac-Man type game. So I didn't know this at the time because I was only like a 4-5-year-old kid when I first got this gaming system, the TV Boy. But the TV Boy is actually, well, I've got to shoot these enemies. The TV Boy is basically an Atari ripoff. So like, you know, the old Atari consoles. Well, the TV Boy, oh my god, it blew up. That's not good. The TV Boy is a ripoff of Atari consoles. So all of the games that would have been on Atari consoles Well, this is basically a rip-off of all of them. So this appears to be some type of... I don't remember half of these games, to be honest with you. I probably haven't played half of these games. But I do remember coming home from school, a very young kid now. Like, I'm talking like 5 years old. Probably just went to school for the very first time. I remember coming home from school, running home from school, turning on my TV Boy, and interacting with these games. And this was where it all began for me. This is where gaming began for me. These are the first video games I ever interacted with. So, you know, while 5, 6-year-old kids in today's world are waking up with a PS4, Switch, Xbox One under their Christmas tree, and they're interacting with games like Fortnite, and they're going online with their friends on headsets, and they're looking at these very bright and colourful game worlds in like Fortnite. That's what kids nowadays are growing up with and interacting with. But these are the games that I interacted with as a kid. And this is how they looked. This is how they played. Now I should point out that this is the TV Boy system. My very first video game console, of course, was the Sega Master System, and I can say that games looked a lot better than this. Okay, so that's enough of that game. Let's go to random 7. Lucky number 7. So this appears to be some sort of Space Invaders clone. Not Space Invaders, but what I like about the TV Boy and the games built in is they're simple games with a simple objective, and they can be very challenging and they can be very addictive. It's a simple objective. All I need to do is shoot these flying saucers in the air that are trying to shoot at me. It's simple. Well, it's simple to understand, quite difficult to master. And I like that. I like that time in gaming. I liked when games had a simple objective, a simple purpose. You knew what you were doing straight away, and it was fun and it was challenging. So easy to pick up and play. I just think nowadays games are just so not complex, but games are just so all over the place right now. They're trying to be everything. I mean, look at the Call of Duty series. The Call of Duty series started off as a kind of like they wanted to put you, the player, into, you know, the world of, you know, war environment, what it's like to be in a war situation. They wanted to tell the story of World War One, World War Two, D-Day, Pearl Harbor, all of those historical events. And, you know, it was kind of authentic enough. It was fun, you know. But now look at what Call of Duty has become. It's become everything. It's trying to be a battle royale. It's online only now. It's you know, it's like, what is this game now? Like, what is my objective? What am I trying to do? And I think with a lot of open world games nowadays, there's so much to do in that open world. You can progress the story, you can do side quests, you can explore, you can find Easter eggs. There's achievements now as well in games, and everything is happening at the same time. And I feel that it's quite like, it can get quite kind of hectic. Like, if I'm just looking for something to do, like if I'm just looking for something simple to do, I just think games like open world games, and, you know, and now even with games like Call of Duty, where they're trying to be so much now, they're trying to be like Fortnite and PUBG. I think gaming nowadays they can get a bit hectic in terms of what they're trying to convey to the player. And I think a simple game like this has a simple objective. I know what I'm doing. I've just died now, and, you know, and I'm actually inclined to restart and play again. It's a simple objective. You are some sort of spacecraft yourself, and you're basically trying to defend what I liked about games back then is you let your imagination do most of the work, because you could pretend that the area at the end of the screen is basically your home, your homeland, your city or whatever else, and you're just trying to defend your home or your city from these enemy aircraft above you who are shooting missiles at you. They don't have to look like real missiles. These spacecraft don't need to look like ultra-realistic spacecraft. It doesn't need to be in 4K. It doesn't need to have online multiplayer so you can play with your friends. It's a simple video game with a simple objective, and I gotta say, I like when games were like that back then. But how have the times have changed? Now a game has to be online, and it has to look ultra realistic, you know, for it to be considered a good game or a cool game. But, you know, this game didn't need online multiplayer. This game didn't need to look realistic. Now, there's going to be like two parts to this video. I feel like the first part of this video is going to be like a kind of, not a review, but a gameplay of the TV Boy. It's going to be pretty much a hands-on video of the game, of the TV Boy, and what it was and what it represented. You know, as the very first video game system that I interacted with. But the second part of the video is going to be discussing all the various consoles I've owned over the years, all the various video games I played over the years, some of my favorite consoles, some of my favorite video games, my favorite video game franchises, characters, the kind of video games that I like to play now, you know, in the present, and I suppose where I see gaming going in the future and what I consider as the future of gaming. So I'm going to have that type of conversation in like the second half of the video. But I'll play some more of these classic games. Some of these games are so random. What is this? This looks like golf. Whoa, okay. I should point out that again, this is a rip-off of Atari. But like when I was, see, you gotta understand, a lot of people watching this video right now, I would consider they would be fairly young in a sense that they're so used to the HD world of gaming. Some of them might be familiar with the 4K world of gaming, online gaming, just games looking so realistic. What you need to understand here is when I first played the TV Boy, when I first went out hands-on with games like this, there was nothing to compare it to. There was nothing to okay, I did eventually get myself a Sega Master System. But for me, there was nothing else to compare it to. This was a gaming system. This was the first time that I interacted with a video game system. So I know there's going to be a lot of people who will look at this and say, what is this shit? Well, this is the shit that I first played when I was a kid. This was the shit that this was gaming when I was a kid, is what it is. And what's funny is, you know, your kids and your grandkids, when they look back at the PS4 and they look back at Fortnite, they're going to turn around and say, what is this shit? Because, you know, gaming will move forward, technology will move forward. This game is wrecking my head. I'm going to move forward from this game is what I'm going to do. I think one more game, because there's over 100 games in it. There's a lot of games here. A lot of games here. Oh man, I think I went a bit too far there with the numbers. Oh man. 21. Number 21. Oh, pinball. This looks like some kind of pinball game. This could be fun. Where's the ball? I don't get this. Moving on. 10. I think I'm. Yeah. Not happening. 5. Oh my god. So again, all of these games are essentially rip-offs of a lot of Atari games. But again, man, I would run home from school to play these games just as much as kids nowadays run home and play Fortnite. These were games. These are what games looked like and played like and sounded like when I was a kid. These were the cool games. And you got to remember as well. Gaming wasn't this cool thing that cool kids did back then. Gaming was something that, honestly, a handful of people, like about 2 people in the classroom would be playing video games. Because back then, as I said, gaming, it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. It wasn't as popular as what it is now. Obviously, you go into a classroom right now, you've got like 99% of that classroom playing Fortnite. Because gaming nowadays has become extremely mainstream and pop culture, and games like Fortnite are pretty much taking over the world. But this was a time where gaming was something that only a handful of people did. Okay, I feel like I should move on, actually, to the Sega Master System. I'm going to do that. So that was the TV Boy system. The first video game system I ever played, ever interacted with. It's where it all began for me. That's where I was introduced to video games. Thankfully, it got better from there. Thankfully, it got much better from there. Because I would then get my hands on the Sega Master System home console. The very first console I ever owned. And one of the things that really, really, really struck me is I remember saying to my dad, because my dad gave it to me for my birthday, and I was like, oh, that's a console that you can actually buy more games for. You can put games into this, because I think I must have gotten really bored of playing these games. Even though there was like 100 of them, I think I just kind of got fed up of playing these games. So when I realised that I could get more games, I was so excited, because it had cartridges, which I'm going to just put the phone back into its case here, actually. So it had cartridges. So before, I'm going to break this thing here now. Before discs, before CD-ROMs and DVD-ROMs and Blu-ray, etc. Before discs, there were cartridges. So this is what games were stored onto. This is how you played your games on the Sega Master System and a lot of other consoles back then as well, in the late 80s, early 90s, hell, mid 90s as well. These are what games were played on. These were games. This is what games looked like. It's hard to believe now, especially considering that Fortnite. Well, you can actually get Fortnite physical now as well, but started off as a digital. But yeah, I'm going to keep mentioning Fortnite in this video. There's a reason for it. I will get to that. But yeah, before Fortnite, there was Mortal Kombat on the Sega Master System. So I actually will start by playing that game actually on the Sega Master System. So again, the Sega Master System, my very first video game home console. And one of the things that a lot of people did back in the day, and they made no effect whatsoever, is that the game didn't work first time around, they'd blow into the cartridge. So that's me blowing into the cartridge, even though it does absolutely nothing. It doesn't do anything. It's like a myth. So now, I'll turn off the TV system, and I'm basically just going to switch cables. I got to plug in the Sega Master System first, don't I? That would be important. Look at the size of the plug. Look at the size of the plug. Artman, welcome to the stream. Hello to you. Yeah, that was a long, long time ago. So I'm now going from the TV system to the Sega Master System. As I said, first video game console I ever owned, and I was, as you are well aware, I was blown away by the fact that you could actually buy games for this. You could put in cartridges for this, because I was so used to the built-in games in the TV Boy. So I'm just gonna pop behind the TV and switch switch cables. So right, so I'm gonna take out bad cough. So I believe that is the right cable. Now you might get to see live here now, my viewers. You might get to see what I was talking about earlier about tuning in the console. Well, the first thing I need to do is turn on the. That better be turned on. I don't see a light there. I don't think there actually is a light on that. Well, we'll soon find out now if it's turned on. You used to blow in them. Yeah, we all used to do that. It was a thing. It's just so funny. Everyone did that. It was such a natural thing that people would do. And again, it made no effect whatsoever. Okay, so install and retune. Okay, I'm going to analog fine tune. Yeah, analog fine tune. Right. Okay. So this is how you tuned in video games. I mean, this is long before PS4. You needed to do this. Tune in your video games. So give me a second now. Here we go. Goro lives. Now, a lot of my viewers and subscribers will be usually playing Mortal Kombat X on the PlayStation 4. And I always said that Mortal Kombat was one of the very first video games I ever played. And here it is. Here it is right there. Mortal Kombat 1 on the Sega Master System. One of the very first video games I ever played. Very low. So that's Johnny Cage and Raiden fighting. I mean, just look at the difference in quality. Absolutely amazing. But back then, to me, that was absolutely amazing. The music was amazing. The graphics were outstanding. The gameplay was so fun. Because, again, what people need to understand here, because there's going to be a lot of people watching this video that's going to say, what is this crap? What is this garbage? Because they're playing Mortal Kombat on their PS4 right now. And they're like, you know, young teenagers or young kids or whatever else. But what you need to understand is, you're comparing the PS4 to a Sega Master System, which is really stupid. When I got this console, there was nothing really else to compare it to. This is what games looked like back then. This is how games played, sung, and looked like back then. There was nothing to compare it to. You're comparing a next generation PS4 console. Remember the tape games? Oh, I actually do. They don't have any of them actually. Yeah, like the Atari and the Commodore. They used to have cassette cartridges to play their games. But again, I want to go back to that point. Like some people are like will compare the PlayStation 4 to a Sega Master System, and that makes you an idiot. Because you're like a young kid or a young teenager, you know, looking back at this, because you weren't even born when these games came out. But what you need to understand is, for me, there was nothing else to compare these games to. There was nothing else to compare the Sega Master System console to. This is what games were like back then. So you've got to understand that. So I'm going to play some Mortal Kombat now on my Sega Master System. So this was my second dive into the world of video gaming. The very first video game console. I went from the TV Boy to this. I was so happy that I did, because I think it got a lot better from here onwards. I'm going to go as Raiden. I'll go as medium. Shang Tsung at the very top, Goro. The 3 endurance matches and a lot of combatants to face. So it's Raiden versus Sub-Zero. And again, this was amazing for me. Like, I was blown away by this. No, I'm not going to show every single console in this video because it would just be too awkward. I would have to set up a lot of them. And then there's consoles that I originally didn't own, you know, that wouldn't kind of make sense showing in the video. But really, this video, I just want to talk about the games and, to the best of my ability, show some of the games that I played as a kid. So you got to see. I took an early nap so I could see your stream. I can't believe I actually won that battle. You know, so just to go from like past to future now for a second, it's absolutely crazy me playing Mortal Kombat on the Sega Master System and then hyping myself up for Mortal Kombat 11 on the Nintendo Switch, which is a console that you can play anywhere, anytime. I mean, what a transition from what gaming was back then to what it is right now. And obviously, like, it's going to look a hell of a lot better on Nintendo Switch compared to the Sega Master System, to say the very least. You know, and I'm so hyped for that. So really what I want to do is give some of my viewers and subscribers a kind of a delve into my gaming past. You know, the games I grew up playing as a kid. You know, not Fortnite, not PS4, not Black Ops 4, not high definition graphics, not online multiplayer, not ultra realistic graphics. You know, there was a time for me well before that, and this is the time. So, you know, these are the games that I played as a kid, and I want to show everyone some of those games and talk about some of those games, talk about some of the consoles I've owned. You'll make me feel old. Well, imagine how I feel. I'm the one playing the fucking thing. So imagine how old I feel right now looking back in games. I keep forgetting his thunder move. He does have a thunder move. He is the god of thunder after a while, but I can't seem to figure out how to do it. Finisher. So what I'll do is I'll play a bit of Sonic after this. I think Sonic was technically the first video game, console game I played. I think I played Mortal Kombat after it. Although I don't know for sure. I mean, I might have played Mortal Kombat first. But I think it was Sonic that I played first, and then I played a bit of Mortal Kombat. So again, these are I would run home from school to play this game, you know, on weekends, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. You know, this is the console that I would run to and turn on. These are the games that I would put into it and play away. You know, Mortal Kombat, Sonic the Hedgehog. So you're all getting a nice kind of insight into Sonic. Okay, you're all getting a nice insight now into the video games that I played as a kid. It's a pity that I should have waited a little bit later to do the stream because, again, some of my subscribers are living in... There's a cat. There's a cat outside my window. There's a pause in I said. There's a cat on my windowsill. Well, there was a cat on my windowsill, anyway. Sorry, I get distracted very easily. There was a cat on my windowsill. There's a cat always comes into my like the side alley, so he goes under the... Chad Madison, great to have you on the stream. Good morning to you. I am so sorry if it's too early. I am so sorry if it's very early. I was actually just talking about you know, subscribers like yourself, because I was just taking... Oh shit. Oh no, that's paused. I thought it was like running out of time there for a second. But yeah, I hope it isn't too early there, Chad. And good morning and welcome to the stream. This is the video that I was talking about making last night. So, okay, so the video basically, I decided to, this is what it's going to be. So it's basically going to be showing everyone the video games that I played as a kid. Not just showing them, but talking about those games, talking about some of the consoles I played as well, some of my favorite video game franchises, characters, etc. So hopefully it'll be an interesting video, and I hope you enjoy, chat. And it's great to have you here. 7:36 a.m. But I woke up at 4:30. YouTube just decided to send notifications. Oh man, that's quite early. But you were up since 4:30, so that's not too bad. So I presume you're wide awake right now, I presume. So let's continue with the stream. So this is the Sega Master System console that I'm playing right now. It was the very first video game console I ever owned, and I'm playing Mortal Kombat 1. So it's going to be interesting now for you to see to me go from Mortal Kombat X on the PS4 last night to playing Mortal Kombat 1 on the Sega Master System. So let's continue. So again, the very first console I ever owned, and one of the very first video games I played. What's the difference between Sega Master and Genesis? Sega Master System released before the Sega Mega Drive, so games on the Sega Mega Drive look far better than they do on the Sega Master System. There's actually quite a funny story actually, because you see, as I pointed out, the Sega Master System was the first video game console I got, and two of the games I got on it were Mortal Kombat and Sonic. So then my brother got a Sega Mega Drive for his birthday a couple of months or about a year later. And one of the games he got on it was Sonic. So I always presumed, for a very long time, that Sonic on the Sega Master System came out before Sonic on the Sega Mega Drive, but it turned out, of course, that Sonic debuted on the Sega Mega Drive, and what I actually had, and I'm going to play now in a second, was actually like the Sega Master System version of Sonic, basically. So I always thought that was quite funny. I only found that out a couple of years back. So Sega Master System, first video game console I ever owned. That was one of the first games I played as well. I played a little bit more of Mortal Kombat, and then I played some Sonic. I have Sonic lying around somewhere. He's there somewhere. I don't know where he is. He's there somewhere. I gotta go looking for him. So I think this time I'm gonna go with Scorpion. So these are the video games I played as a kid. And again, as I want to say, there was nothing to compare these games to. There was no consoles I could compare it to. This is what games looked like as a kid for me. There was no alternative. I know a lot of narrow-minded people are going to watch this video, you know, who are like under the age of 17, and they're going to be like, "What is this garbage? Look at the state of these graphics." But like, you're just being an idiot, because you're comparing your modern PS4 console. What do you think of the movie? I think it's I always love watching that movie, the first movie. Now, personally, I like both movies. I'm not that big of a hater of the second movie. I'm not that big of a hater. I know a lot of people have their opinions about it, but to be honest with you, I'm not that much of a hater. But I do feel I can go back and watch the first movie a lot more than I would the second one. I can watch the second one. I think it's good, but there is, yeah, the first movie is definitely the better one. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to do a Scorpion Spear. Get over here, Scorpion. Or it was Sub-Zero. It's not happening. He doesn't want to use his spear. Oh, there we go. Get over here. There was a Street Fighter movie before that they terribilized. I may have seen that. Was that the one where Jean-Claude Van Damme was in? I know there was a Street Fighter movie that was based off the Street Fighter game, which was really confusing, that they actually made a movie based off a game, Yeah, that one. I see, again, I don't follow the hate train. That's the word I've made up now, the hate train. I don't follow the hate train online. You know, there's a lot of people online that have a lot of opinions about a lot of things. I watched that movie, and to be honest with you, I didn't see anything really wrong with it. Like, it's not the best movie in the world. It's not the best video game movie in the world. But I sat down, I watched it, and I could tolerate it. Scorpion versus Sonya Blade right now. So the point of this video is I just want to kind of, you know, I want to show people. Particularly, I want to show the younger generation the kind of games that I played as a kid. Just kind of like allow them to step back in time with me and just enter my timeline. See the games and hear about the games and consoles that I played as a kid and what they were like and stuff. As you can see, no updates required, no system updates, no software updates, no patches, no bugs, no glitches, no focus on online multiplayer, no pre-order now to get Johnny Cage, none of that, no craziness, no battle pass, exactly, thank you Chad, no battle pass, you know, all the characters were there, the game was there, you know, the game that you paid money for was there, and you didn't need to get anything else. It was all there, and you had fun playing it. No emphasis on, again, online or anything like that. You know. So yeah, those were what games were like back in my day. I'm not saying I don't like DLC, depending on how it's done. I don't really have an issue with Scorpion or Shao Kahn being like pre-ordered bonus in Mortal Kombat 11. I think if you wanted the game, what do you have to lose by pre-ordering it? Like, if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, like, you know, you're going to be hyped for Mortal Kombat 11. I know I am. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you know you're going to buy the game. And if you pre-order it, what do you have to lose? You're going to pay. If you're buying the game anyway, you're going to pay money for it. So you might as well just pre-order it. It's if Ed Boon and NetherRealm Studio had said, Shao Kahn, pre-order now, €5 extra, then I'd be like, whoa, hold up there, Ed. But I don't have a particular issue with it. But I'm just kind of pointing out just how games were different back then. You know, that's all I'm doing. Just pointing out how games kind of were back in my time. Now, there's obvious reasons why. You know, obviously, the reason it wasn't focused on online multiplayer is because online really wasn't a thing back then. What was the game? Taxi. Oh, Crazy Taxi. That was originally in the arcades, and it is a Sega Dreamcast game originally. It came to PS2 as well, and Game Boy. By the Mountains, Dew and Doritos. I get extra experience. By the Mountains. I know, yeah. It's I like you, Chad. You're funny. But it's so true. Like that kind of mentality, the Mountain Dew mentality, and the battle pass pre-order. Oh, I know exactly what you're saying, man. And that's the reason I made this video, was to kind of compare that type of generation to my generation. You know, my generation was turn on your console, put in your cartridge, play it, and have fun. No need for system updates, no need for software updates, no battle pass needed, no online multiplayer focused. You know, you could play your game whether your friend was online or not. You know, do you know what I mean? You could play your games whether your friends were online or not, and that's a time that I miss that time, to be honest. I miss when gaming was, and I also miss when gaming wasn't this, you know, it wasn't a pop culture thing. It wasn't just something that everyone did. You know, where Fortnite takes over the world, and you know, you kind of have to play Fortnite to be popular now, and all that kind of mentality. I like when gaming was something that like 3 people in the classroom played, and you know, it was just something that you did with your friends, as opposed to just something that everyone else was doing. Yeah, I miss those times. I'm dead now, and I'm going to play some Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm going to have to go looking for it now, unfortunately. I mean, it should be... No, actually, sorry. It should be here. It is here somewhere. Dr. Robotnik, what did you do with my Sonic? Dr. Robotnik. I have stolen Sonic. I don't know where the fuck Sonic went now. Scorpion is dead. Oh, there he is. I knew he was there. Come out, Sonic. Dr. Robotnik bluffing me. So, here it is. Trying to get you to do homework. Yeah, that must have been a very hard task. But Here is literally the first video game that I ever played, Sonic the Hedgehog. So I'm gonna do the honorable tradition of blowing into the cartridge. Oh shit! I'm breaking my Sega Master System in the process. I used to play Soul Calibur 2 arcade with the adults back then. Soul Calibur, cool game. Cool game. I remember that actually. There's actually a funny story behind that I will get to. I'll get to that in a minute. But there was a cool story behind that. Basically, Soul Calibur became something else for me, and it just became history, basically. So here we go now. Some classic Sonic the Hedgehog gameplay. Literally the first video game I played, because Mortal Kombat came second to this game. And there he is, my blue body, Sonic the Hedgehog. So I've got a purple body in Spyro, and I've got a blue body in Sonic. And they're both animals as well. That would be a great crossover, wouldn't it? Spyro and Sonic. Boom. That's one for you. Oh man. You see, this is everything. This is everything here. I mean, this is where I was introduced to the concept of moving your character from left to right of the screen, getting to the end of the level. You know, this is where I was introduced to, you know, collecting rings, you know, power-ups, just the whole mechanic of moving your character left and right, and the life system at the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Like, so much was thrown at me in this game. How many consoles do you have? I'll get to that in a moment. No, I'll get to that in a moment. There's two parts of this video where first part is basically just showing you the first video game systems I ever owned. So the Sega, the TV Boy system was the first video game system I owned. And this console right here, the Sega Master System, is the first home console I owned. But this was the this was my fun back then. Nowadays, fun for kids in gaming is getting together, you know, 4 of their school friends, throwing on a headset. Is Sonic Mania good to play? If you haven't, get it. Buy it right now. Stop what you're doing right now and buy Sonic Mania. I hope that answers your question. Love Sonic, love playing it. But trust me, Chad, get Sonic Mania right now. That is my answer to your question. But you know, while kids now run home and, you know, go throw on their headset and, you know, play online with their school friends in Fortnite, and, you know, how many kills did you get? Look at my cool dance. You know, this is what I ran home from school to. You know, so again, like, I was introduced to so much in this game. This was the first platforming game that I ever played. So, like, you know, realizing that I better jump on top of that floating platform, because if I don't, I'm gonna fall into those spikes. I didn't know that. Obviously, I know that now. But just kind of figuring out everything, like figuring out, like, you know, that creature that just moved there, you know, bumps into me, I get hit, I lose coins or rings. So yeah, just the overall, like, mechanics of gaming were introduced to me for the first time in this game, and that's an amazing moment. That's an amazing thing. But I had a simple objective. You know, you're basically getting to the end of the level. And if you get a certain amount of rings, you get access to the bonus level. Sonic has passed. I remember getting it for you. Yeah, and I remember opening up the Sega Master System for the first time and just being blown away by the fact that it was a console, you know, that you could buy more games for, you could put into it. So you weren't just limited to the games that were built in, like the TV system or the TV Boy. I remember panicking playing this, because like, it was like you had time. You know, time was counting down, so like I have 44 seconds. As popular as Fortnite is, it's not a new gaming experience for me playing SOCOM. I will say one thing. Personally, I do think that Fortnite is a new experience. Personally, I think that it offers you a completely different online shooter experience. Most online shooters you have your traditional team deathmatch or free for all, and in the free for all, like if you get shot, you're dead, and you respawn. You get shot, you're dead. You respawn, etc., etc. I think there's something very different about the battle royale genre. There's something very different about being dropped into a map of 100 players, and like if you die, you die. Like if you die, you die, and you get brought back to the lobby. And when you if and when you did get that win, and you got your first solo win, that meant something so much more than just getting the most wins in a free for all. So I will say that Fortnite does offer a new experience. Um, so it's not that I'm bashing Fortnite. It's just that this is the game that I grew up playing. This is the game that provided me fun. It wasn't about going online with my friends and getting the most wins or anything like that. It was a personal thing. I would come home and I would play this game on my own. I'd find all the secrets. I'd find all the try to find all the chaos emeralds. See how far I could get in the level, how far I could make it. Try to improve my skills every time. So that's kind of what this game meant to me. It wasn't something that I played with my friends. It wasn't something that I was comparing to my friends or anything like that. But like the point of this video for me was just to kind of show people the kind of games that to show them and talk about the kind of games and consoles I played and what they were like. You would not believe your eyes. I didn't. No, I did not believe my eyes. I was shocked. I believe there's a Chaos Emerald down here. Or not. I don't know. I can't actually remember. So I don't want this video to be me bashing Fortnite. Not at all. Like I don't want my subscribers who play Fortnite to feel like I'm kind of like calling them out or bashing them or anything like that. No, it's not like that. It's just the Fortnite represents something, you know. Like I don't think I or a lot of people are going to go back 15, 20 years later and play Fortnite. But I am going back, 20 odd years later playing Sonic the Hedgehog and Sega Master System. And a lot of people do it. And that's the reason why Sega released these classic, consoles. It's the reason why these games appear on services like the Virtual Console and stuff like that. It's why people still play these games. I think with Fortnite it's a little bit different. Because Fortnite is more of a kind of... Fortnite represents type... And I will get to this in the second part of the video, but Fortnite represents a different generation of gamers. I don't think Fortnite is for the traditional gamers. I think Fortnite represents this kind of like flashy pop culture kind of gaming culture, basically the flashy and trendy kind of type game, where it's the cool thing to do. I get what you're saying. Thank you. It's kind of hard to explain what I'm saying, really, but as far as the game itself, Fortnite, I do think that it does represent something new in how it approaches, how the mechanics are. Like, I mean, once you die, you're brought back to the lobby, and you really are struggling to get that win. And when you do get that win, it means so much when you get that win, as opposed to if you get the most wins in Black Ops 4 or whatever. But as far as what it represents, as a game, it's something completely like it's not, in my opinion, it's not something people will be going back to and playing 15 years later. Fortnite will get replaced by the next flashy and trendy, pop culture trend. It's just this thing that captures the imagination of so many people for a while, but eventually it will just kind of fade away. Eventually it'll fade away. Okay, so we're 49 minutes into the stream. I tell you what, I will fight Dr. Robotnik here, and then I will move on to the second half of the video. Now, what I could do is I can still play as Sonic, possibly, but I do want to start talking about some of the video game consoles I've owned over the years and some of the games I've played on them, some of my favorite video game franchises and characters and just what gaming means to me, like 20 odd years later from when I first started playing games. So I want to start talking about that once I defeat Dr. Robotnik. I love Dark Souls, but I hate how journalists and people act like it created the difficulty. Like it created... Sorry, no. I have to read that comment again, sorry. Act like it created the difficulty of games. Yeah, you're right there. Yeah, you got a very good point there. Yeah, definitely. Like everyone talks about Dark Souls, so hard, Dark Souls, oh my god, hardest game in the world, so hard. I mean, have they not played Metroid on the NES? Have they not played Zelda on the NES? Have they not played any game on the NES? Like, you know, like have they not played any game on the NES where you get so far into a game, you lose a life, and guess what? You're back at game over screen. Do you remember cassette games? So yeah, I mean, Chad, your point there is so valid. Yeah, I mean, they act like that Namco Bandai like created the hard game genre, which is completely daft because there's been so many tough games released over the years. Far harder than Dark Souls. Come on, Dr. Robotnik, get your ass down here so I can resume the second half of this video. What he's talking about is like Commodore 64, Atari. They had, oh my god, it died. That's a world record. Those were consoles that required you to actually put in an actual cassette tape. I still am baffled by how that actually was a thing. Like, how in the name of God they actually got a game running on a tape is just, oh, it's baffling. Okay, so what I will do is I will start talking about so the second half of the video. Yeah, it was very interesting. So this is the second half of the video where I'm gonna talk about all the consoles I've owned over the years and some of the great games I've played on those consoles. So I'm going to technically start by once again talking about the first video game system I owned, which was the TV system. Sorry, the TV Boy system. That was where I first interacted with video games. That's where it all began for me. They took so long to play. They took very long to play. Very long to play. So like before the TV Boy came into my life, I mean, I would spend my days as a kid, you know, messing around with colouring books. I used to love colouring books. Colouring books were like gold to me. Like, they were just everything. Colouring books were life for me. I mean, you give me a colouring book and I'm just like, I'm gone. Like, I'm quiet and I'll just disappear for like 2 hours straight, just colouring. Walkie-talkies were also a big part of my childhood. I used to love walkie-talkies, and among many other cool little toys that I loved playing around with. But then that all changed. That all evolved. How I would spend my days as a kid, how I would play as a kid, evolved. The second that this thing right here came into my life, where the hell is it? Where's the camera? The TV Boy system. That was the first ever video game system that I played and interacted with. Damien Sewell, welcome to the stream, man. Great to have you. Oh man, I'm going back in time. I'm going back in time, talking about the video games that I played as a kid, the consoles I played as a kid, and some of the games I played on it. So I was just talking about the first time that a video game system basically came into my life was this thing right here, Damien, the TV Boy. It came with over 100 games built in. Now, I didn't know at the time, but they were all Atari rip-offs, basically. Game Boy Advance and Pokemon Blue were... so they were the first games you ever owned. Damn. I originally never got into Pokemon. I only got into Pokemon a couple of years back. But great games to start off with. So yeah, so... It all started with the Game & Watch. Oh, not the Game & Watch, Jesus Christ. The TV Boy. It all started with the TV Boy. And, I mean, yeah, I would run home from school to play this thing. And that's where my gaming rage started as well. I remember raging, just really, really raging if I couldn't get past the part in one of those games. So 100 built-in games or over 100 built-in games, and then it went from the TV system or the TV Boy to this console right here that I'm playing, the Sega Master System. And that was where I played my very first video game console, like a proper console, with a proper brand like Sega. And I didn't know who Sega were, when I was a kid. I didn't care who they were as a kid. I just wanted to play the games. And as my dad pointed out, Artman, I mean, I could not believe that I had a console, because I knew like a little bit about what consoles were. I knew that you could put cartridges into those consoles and you could play other games. And I was blown away by that, because I think I was getting bored of playing those 100 games, because they weren't the best of quality, like, there's only so much you could do with those games, really. So I was blown away, absolutely delighted that I had a console for the first time. And the game that I'm playing right here, right now, is one of the first games I played on that system, Sonic the Hedgehog. And this game really introduced the overall mechanics of gaming for me, like, how to move a character from left to right, collecting power-ups, extra lives, collecting rings, defeating enemies, finding secrets, all of that. So the mechanics of gaming, really, as we know today, was introduced to me in this game. And I played a lot of great games on the Sega Master System, including this, also Mortal Kombat, which you saw earlier. I played the Flash as well, the DC character, the Flash, and a lot of other great games. My battery better hold up here. Did you know the PS1 could play CD music? I did, man. I used to love that. What I used to love doing is, especially Grand Theft Auto, right? If you put in a game like Grand Theft Auto, right, and you go to the CD section, the music section, right, you can actually listen to the music from Grand Theft Auto. So you basically got a free soundtrack. You basically got a free soundtrack. If that was nowadays, man, it'd be fucking saying, oh, that'll cost you $10, please, or euro or whatever. So that was amazing to me. But yeah, I did. I used to listen to a lot of CDs on the PlayStation. I'm conscious that my battery is going to just randomly go dead, so I feel like I this video on a little bit. So from the Sega Master System, I then got the Sega Mega Drive, where I got to see the real Sonic. I didn't notice at the time, but basically this Sonic right here, I'm going to fucking... this Sonic here is the Sega Master System version of Sonic. It's like Sonic originally debuted on the Sega Mega Drive. I didn't know that. I was actually then playing the proper Sonic game on Sega Mega Drive. Now, I played so many games on Sega Mega Drive. Like, when I think of games that I grew up playing, oh man, Sega Mega Drive is just... I mean, Comic Zone, Streets of Rage, 1, 2, and 3, Golden Axe, of course Sonic, Wiz and Liz. This is one of the random. Would the real Sonic please stand up? There's only one Sonic. And he's standing. A lot of great games on Sega Mega Drive. Mortal Kombat 2 as well. Mortal Kombat 2. I think Mortal Kombat 2 and Sonic were the first games I played on Sega Mega Drive. And so I could see the start of like how graphics were getting better, because the graphics from the Sega Master System to the Mega Drive, obviously a massive step up. I heard Sonic 3 has porting issues due to Michael Jackson helping me to say, yeah, I heard about that. Alright, a couple of years back. Yeah, he originally had music made for the game. So from the Sega Mega Drive, I then got my hands on the... Someone's knocking at the door now. Ugh! Can't get no peace. 2 seconds. Thanks, happy New Year, kid. Thanks. I'm back. I'm back. That was the electrician man to read my meter. Just checking to see that I got any comment while it was gone. Never know that. Yeah, I didn't know it until a couple of years back. So where was I? So then I got the Nintendo 64. So I'm going to talk about the consoles, and then I can kind of go to depth then with the games, I suppose. I just kind of put all the games kind of into one kind of category, instead of like mentioning the games that I've played in each console, because it would take up too long. So the next console then that I would get would be, of course, the Nintendo 64. You're getting cut off. I know, yeah. Too many streams. Too many streams. Eating up the electricity. Just in case the stream goes dead, just a heads up, basically, because I didn't realise how long the stream was actually going. So the Nintendo 64, and it's an interesting story behind that, and Artman, you know all about that. You actually bought that console for yourself. That was your console. You actually went into Smiths and you said, do you know what, now I'm going to buy a console for myself. And you bought the Nintendo 64. Have you played Wonder Boy? I have. I think I have Wonder Boy built into this. Let me just check. I actually think I do. Wait. Oh, no, shit, it's actually Alex Kidd. Sorry, it's Alex Kidd. Sorry. I thought it was Wonder Boy. I keep getting those two mixed up. Sorry about that. So Artman, you actually bought the Nintendo 64 for yourself. But you knew what was going to happen. Come on. You knew what was going to happen. You weren't going to sit down and play a console. So the console got taken over. So I took over your console. You got Super Mario 64 with it. You never again got to see the Nintendo 64. You said goodbye, Nintendo 64. No more Nintendo 64 for you. GoldenEye is awesome. Yeah, that was a fantastic game. So, so the Nintendo 64 was the next console I owned. With its analog stick, 3D gaming. Artman remembers what happened. 3D gaming for the first time. That was crazy. Being able to control a character, a 3D character in a 3D world, was really something that I just had to experience. Well, a bit late now for that, isn't it? A bit late now for that, not getting that back. And from there, I would be introduced to a whole new world of gaming in the PlayStation, where games never looked so good, never looked so realistic. Just games like Resident Evil, Final Fantasy. I'm on my way. Well, I won't be here. So, just kind of games that you just never thought you'd ever see happening. Like, you know, games with cutscenes and real, I was going to say real voice acting, but I'm not going to use Resident Evil as an example there, because I think anyone who knows about Resident Evil 1 and the voice acting was absolutely terrible. But nonetheless, like, you got to see a lot of like movie-like games. Whew, I've owned a lot of consoles. So some of my all-time favorites were actually PlayStation games. Like, the PlayStation was where I was introduced to Grand Theft Auto for the very first time. A lot of the cool kids now, like, you know, playing GTA Online with their buddies and showing off their mansions and whatever else. You know, well, it all started on PlayStation 1. Same with Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, and as I mentioned, Resident Evil as well. All those games, you know, I was introduced to for the first time on PlayStation. Then the next console I owned, of course, was the PlayStation 2. Oh man, all of those great games. You know, getting sequels and trequels and I made up that word. I will always remember. What is it? Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Oh man, you know what? I'll do a part two. Sometime. Is that okay? Because I'm getting an incoming call there now. Watching you enjoying playing games and it made me happy. So I'm still back. What was the question? So I'm back. What is a man but a miserable pile of secrets? That's obviously a reference to a game that unfortunately I don't recall. Sorry. But PS2, I will always remember that moment where on GTA 3, which was one of the first games I had on it, getting into a van for the first time and realizing that you could actually drive that van, because I remember the van just looked so realistic, and it was the first GTA game that went from the isometric view to like a full-on like 3D view. I was absolutely blown away by that. I couldn't believe what I was playing. Like, I couldn't believe how amazing it looked. Now, I know a lot of people who look at GTA 3 now and say, what is that garbage? Well, to me, as a fucking 12-year-old kid, right, before you were even a fucking sperm in your mother's pussy, okay, to me, that was fucking quality. That was absolute quality for me. And I loved every moment of it. So that moment right there, I think, is the defining moment of PS2 for me. It's just the first time I actually, played it. The next console then that I would get was the Nintendo GameCube. Now, the only reason I actually wanted a GameCube was because I knew that Resident Evil was being remade on it. And I remember watching the trailers on the TV, and I just said, oh my god, I need this. I need this game. Well, it turned out that by the time that I actually got the GameCube, because my mother got it for me, and she like kind of put so much money on it, for the Christmas. So by the time I actually picked it up, the deal that was originally GameCube with Super Mario Sunshine had expired. Or sorry, Resident Evil had expired. Super Mario Sunshine was the first Mario game I owned. Fantastic. That's actually the game that I was literally talking about there. What am I doing? I died. So I ended up getting Super Mario Sunshine, which wasn't a bad thing at all. Oh my god, it wasn't a bad thing at all. I mean, it was a sequel to Super Mario 64, and I was so happy to be able to play that game. That game was quality. It looked amazing. Oh my god, it looked amazing. I eventually got Resident Evil, which I was so happy with. So, GameCube, yes, the GameCube was the next console I owned. From there, my life as a gamer changed forever. Forever. I was obsessed with the PS3. And I am not joking you. I was literally obsessed with the GameCube. I remember being in school. I was in secondary school at the time. And I remember being in this room, and I had like a whiteboard on it, you know? And I remember just like, I don't know what the fuck I was doing, man. I was just talking about the PS3 on it and everything. I was obsessed with it. I could not wait to get that console. But then things just went a bit downhill. I started realizing, you play Resistance 2. No, I didn't. I had that game pre-ordered, I think. But what happened was, I realized, okay, I don't have a HD TV. I'm probably not going to be getting a HD TV for a long time. And this game is heavily focused on HD graphics. At the time, I didn't even have online. I didn't even have broadband at the time. I had no internet connection at the time. And I could tell that this console was going to be heavily focused on online. And then the console got delayed. And then some of my favourite games got delayed. Like the first game that got delayed was actually one of the SmackDown games. SmackDown vs. Raw got delayed. Or actually got cancelled. And I just said, the hell with this. The hell with this. The hell with this. I'm not getting a PS3. Then I was thinking of getting an Xbox 360. Then I went back to the PS3. Said, okay, I'm going to get a PS3. I actually pre-ordered the PS3. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to get it anyway. But then I just remember sitting at home. And I will always remember this moment. I had a Vizio HD TV and Vivian looked amazing. Well, you were lucky. You were one of the lucky ones. I didn't have a HD TV, and I wasn't going to be getting one for a long time. But you got to realize this wasn't mid PS3 life cycle. This was when the PS3 literally launched here. You know, this was 2005 kind of timeline here, where HD TVs weren't as mainstream as what they are now. Like, not everyone had one. So, for me, it just wasn't a realistic kind of, it wasn't a realistic thing for me to have a HD TV. So this moment, I was sitting at home, what's the battery like? I was sitting at home, and I'm watching this TV show, Gamer TV on Bravo. Damn it. And it had a feature about the Nintendo Wii. Now I knew what the Wii was. I knew about it. I knew that it had motion control. I knew that the controller was a bit strange. I knew that its graphics weren't going to be anything spectacular, and I knew that their games were like completely different. Like you had games like Wii Sports and whatnot. I knew a little bit about it. I didn't think too much of. What the hell is happening with my phone? A PS3. So I went into the store where I pre-ordered it, cancelled my pre-order, got my money back, went away and actually bought a PC, and still had money left over. Because may I point out that where I had pre-ordered the PS3, they had forced me into getting the PS3 with 2 games. I had no choice. It came to a total of €730. €730. Because I'd saved up for it and everything. Like I was full on intent on getting a PS3. So I'd saved up €730 to get a PS3. But I cancelled anyway, so I got my pre-order back, my pre-order money back. What consoles do you think will come out next? I don't know about that yet. This battery's gonna die any second. So I got my money back, got a computer, and I still had money left over. So I'm sitting down and I'm watching this special on the Wii. I got Metal Gear Solid 4 bundle with Call of Duty 4. Nice. Game over. I have a continue though, so that's fine. So yeah, the Wii spoke to me. Like it spoke to me. Like Johnny, buy me. This is the console you need. I mean, it was the cheapest console out of the three. It had a virtual console service, and again, at the time I had internet. Because when I got the computer, I got internet. So I had internet. So this virtual console was like speaking to me. It showed Super Mario Galaxy. And the motion control was something different. So it spoke to me. I said, you know what? I'm going to get the Wii. I'm not going to turn back. And the rest is history. I bought the Wii, and it was everything about gaming from that moment onwards changed. Like what a gamer is, what a game is, the people who play games, all of that changed forever for me. Twilight Princess, man. Twilight Princess, the launch game that I got for it. That game was absolutely quality, along with many other great games as well. So the Wii just changed everything. It changed everything, man. Just what a game is, what a gamer is, what it is to be a gamer, how you play your games. It just showed me that it wasn't just about graphics anymore. It wasn't just about like games are not good based off its graphics, and that changed everything for me. I then went. I had the collection edition of Metro Prime Trilogy. Oh, quality stuff, man! Quality stuff. That's actually rumored for a Nintendo Switch, actually. So then the next console I would buy was the Wii U. The earliest memory of the Wii U. No, I bought the Wii